Hey, friend, it's so good to see you. Happy Wednesday. I hope that your week has been starting off powerfully, that you're accomplishing those goals, you are getting through your to do list, and really just tackling the most important thing for you each and every day. I know it's been a crazy start to the week for me. So hopefully, you've been having a bit of an easier ride. I'm always excited for this meeting. And as you know, this is my favorite meeting of the entire week because we really get to dig in with each other and learn not only with each other, but from some amazing guests. And today is no exception. If you are new around these parts, welcome. The water is fine. Come on in and join us. If you're new, say hi over in the chat. That's this thing going on over here. You can see Jim and Jeff and Giacomo and Grace coming in from upstate New York. Say hi. Let us know where you're coming in from. If you're listening to this later on your favorite podcast network, maybe you're washing the dishes or walking the dog or going for a run, we would love to interact with you too, even if you're listening to this later. So just know that on any social media outlet, whether that is Instagram, whether that is Twitter, whether that is LinkedIn, I would love to hear from you too. So when you get done walking the dog, when you get done folding the laundry, say hi, drop me a line. It would be great to hear from you. Today's subject was something that was really sort of close to my heart and something that I think we all need a reminder of. We all need a reminder of again and again and again because it's something that we do all the time. And I loathe using this word because I think it doesn't actually encompass everything that comes with it. But I feel like when we use the word sales, it's very jargony, it's very jam packed. People have a love hate relationship to the word. It's either, oh, I don't do sales, therefore that doesn't apply to me. I don't need to pay attention to that. That's not, I'm in the marketing department or I'm in the creative department or I'm on the finance team. And instead of the word sales, I really love to use this word. And so does our guest today. And that's all about storytelling. Because at the end of the day, we are all selling ourselves. We are selling ourselves at work. We are selling ourselves in our personal lives. We are selling ourselves to friends, family. We are telling the story of ourselves, our lives, our accomplishments. And the better that you can tell that story, the better that you can build trust and communicate with others, the easier your life will be from start to finish, whether it is work or at home or at the office. So I hope you have brought all of your really great questions today because I know I have a bunch too. Hopefully you also did a little bit of Google stalking before this, but if you didn't, that's okay, because right now you have like 30 seconds, 60 seconds to quickly do some Google stalking on Maury. And he's just an incredible individual. Not only does he have books out and LinkedIn learning courses, but he really is an expert when it comes to whether you are an individual or an organization. How can we tell your story in a way that is fast, in a way that's effective, and in a way that is powerful? Because that is really, everybody has a story, but the way that you tell it matters. And it's really that X factor that makes the difference. So please, wherever you are in the world, raise your glass and help me welcome our newest guest to chat with us. Hey, Maury, how's it going?
Good. So happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me. What a cool intro.
Well, we are so excited to have you as well. And really, like I said, excited to dig into this topic. And I'm curious, I had shared that I have a little bit of an aversion to the word sales, but I'm wondering, do you also have an aversion to that word, or have you come to embrace it?
Well, so it's great that you asked that because I actually was always proud. This when I was in enterprise sales. Now I'm still in sales because I truly feel like everybody is selling all the time. Whether you're a project manager, you want to get your project through. You got to sell people on the idea of doing that, or you're in product management. So everybody is selling their ideas and they want to influence and persuade. But it was something about, oh gosh, it was like 15 years ago. I had, had a conversation and talked to this next person, and the last person said, well, I want you to talk to Bob. I can't remember his real name, Bob, but he's a salesman. He's a salesman. Just want you to know he's a salesman. I was like, great. And like, I can't wait. It's going to be another enterprise rep. And it was one of these folks that was nonstop talk, nonstop chatter. And I felt pushed. I'm like, I'm the one that chat with you. I'm very confused as what's happening. And so I called the owner back and I said, you said I was talking to his sales. He's like, yeah, that's sales. I said, that's not how I see sales. Is that what the world thinks sales is? And again, try not to put that guy down. I don't know where he is in the world right now, but that's how a lot of people view sales. Nonstop talk, pushy, try to get to a close immediately. And that's never the way I sold. And I sold, enterprise software. And now, of course, we're doing, sales and marketing campaigns for, it's been over 1,000 companies, and none of it is hardcore push. Because I've taken what were my favorite times that we were helping customers out. And it didn't feel like I was pushing anything, because it shouldn't. It should feel like I'm here to serve. I'm here to help. I think you have problems, and let me see if we can uncover those. If we're a match, we can solve your problems and you can move forward. And actually, it's a win-win for both of us. We get something in return for this thing that we made, and it helps you thrive. It can help you make more money. It can help you save money. And that's how I've always thought about sales. And maybe the rest of the folks on this call don't think the same, but that's how I've always thought about it. So I've built tools and a company and an agency around that, around how to tell the right story at the right time, so it's comfortable for both sides, so that everybody gets what they need.
Well, and I think a story that we all have in common, no matter where we are in the world or what demographic or where we are in our careers, is the story of ourselves. It's the story of, who you are, what do you do, why do you deserve this promotion, or why do you deserve to work at this company, or why do you deserve that raise? And I'm curious, when you are working with individuals or executives in a consultancy basis or in a group, I love this question from Jeff, that it's inevitable that somebody has, some negative self-talk. Who am I to get that promotion? Or who am I to score that big sales lead? Or who am I to lead the marketing team? How do you wrestle with this? Or how do you help executives or leaders kind of tackle this? Because it's probably it's a little thing that we all have deep down.
Absolutely. It's insecurity. It's the imposter syndrome. I think, I got to be honest, I think we all suffer from it. I actually do sometimes too. I'm sitting here, thinking, I'm talking to a CEO of a SaaS company that's growing like a weed. They've raised whatever, tens or hundreds of millions. Sometimes, am I really going to be able to help this person? And then I look over the things that I've built and the ways that I've helped. Yes, I can definitely help this person. You know what? Here's what we'll do. So a lot of that is just going back. And this is just like, I'm not looking at a note or anything. Some of it's just going back and going through what we call the creative brief, or we actually call it kind of the idea factory. Before we start with, let's generate ideas, let's create your story, we need to discover what's really unique, what's special, and what's different about you or your product or your brand. And one of the really interesting things that we found is through these two questions. All right. One is, maybe it's one is, what's the aha moment that your customers get? Or if you're going to an interview, what do people say? Oh, tell me more about that. And I would say, just for me, it's actually not this right behind me. These are, I have a whole, kind of wall. We send these out after projects. This was Ben & Jerry's ice cream project, so I have these. But people don't want to hear about that. They want to hear, I'm going to twist the camera. They want to hear about the movies I made in Hollywood. Those are the movie posters over there. Like, why do I keep hiding that? I should talk about that. How many people moved to Hollywood, produced or directed movies, that kind of thing. So the thing that I sort of, half on screen that I don't talk about very often, that's what people really want to hear about. So for me, that's a really unique thing. There's only a certain amount of people in the United States or around the world that have actually done that. So I started trying, just even for myself, don't hide that anymore. That's a unique. So what can we find that people think, oh my gosh, that's a little bit embarrassing, and this is a great one. So I also ask, what what struggle did you go through that maybe helped you get to where
Mm.
you are today? Meaning, where did you fail? And people usually never want to talk about that. They don't want to talk about how they failed at this, or that, I might not get hired, or they're not going to want to go with our brand. But what I've learned is everybody roots for the underdog, and nobody has gotten through life unscathed. The things that have knocked us around and given us the, kind of, ego bumps and bruises, or literal bumps and bruises, in sport and things like that. Those are the things that made you tougher, that made you thrive. So when we discover those, I want people to bring those out. Not in every conversation. Oh my gosh, I have a headache, right? But start off with, I tried for 4 years to start this company and help people. And I spent everything that I owned creating this product. And you know what? Nobody wanted it until I found this, and we pivoted, and then 100 people wanted it. And then it became 1,000. And now I know I'm here to build, to solve that problem for this audience, because yes, I failed at first, but now I fixed it.
Mm.
And I'm even better for like your market, your niche. And it's got to be honest. It's got to be completely honest and true. But the things that you might want to hide, those are the pieces that people want to hear in your story. And the things that, either like, oh, you're talking about features or product or this or that. And people are thinking, no, it's the fact that at 6 o'clock, I can go home. Your software works for me overnight, right? You've automated this system or whatever it is. I get to be with my daughter now. I can go to her soccer game. That maybe is the thing that really matters.
Well, and I love this idea of really leading with, maybe sometimes where you failed or you struggled or kind of the mess along the way. Because I think a lot of times when we are talking about storytelling or we're talking about selling ourselves, it's a lot of the greatest hits album. And
Yes.
a lot of people it doesn't resonate as much as when you say, to your point, like, yeah, I worked on this for 4 years and nobody wanted it until I did this one thing differently. And that's huge. And it's also relatable. And it seems like, I would imagine, I mean, obviously, to your point, you have to bring in the relatability versus the not relatability. So you just mentioned, and you kind of pan the screen over to your movie posters. And obviously, you've had a very unique experience working in movies in Hollywood, because not many people can say that they've worked with Brad Pitt, that they've worked with George Clooney, that they've worked with Matt Damon, which you have. And so I'm wondering, how do you balance that sort of otherworldliness that a lot of people don't have that opportunity with that sort of down to earth humility? I've been where you've been. I tried to do this thing for 4 years and now I figured it out, and you can too.
Well, because I'm not that lofty, right? I am a very down to earth person. I say this all the time, like I'm a kid from Pittsburgh. And so when I moved to Hollywood and I got to, work with the people that made The Dark Knight, the Batman franchise, and be on set at Ocean's 13 and that kind of thing, I look at it still with a bit of a sense of wonder. Now, being there, a part of it, I was like, oh, this is great. Okay, but I have to deliver these lines, or I have to do whatever it is. But looking back at it now, I'm like, wow, that was really cool. So I think I, honestly bring it out with, that was a really neat part of my life. It still is a part of my life, but I can look at it with this separation, that it's not so attached that I'm certainly not showing off about it at all. It's just, wow, what a unique experience. Like, I went skydiving. I talk about that with enthusiasm. I think I can talk about this with enthusiasm too. But I think the important point that I didn't answer on your last question, I think I can bring here is, what's the lesson that I pulled away? Right. Yes, that it is true with all those folks. And I just saw Anne Hathaway pop up, and like on some feed that I was on this morning, in Facebook or something, I finally checked it. I'm like, oh, I remember running into her. It wasn't like we sat down for an hour and chatted or whatever, but I remember, kind of chatting with her very quickly. But these are things that are just, what did I learn from that? And what did I take away? And there was a lot that I learned. There was a tremendous amount that I learned from that time in Hollywood, which is really, all right. One, again, this isn't any list, I'm just making it up, but one is, I truly learned story structure, how you tell a story. And I'd love to give a couple of formulas, or I call them templates, away on this call, so people know I can deliver a great story too, because here's a great format. So please don't let me forget that. But I learned what people are engaged with in every segment of a movie. There's act one, act two, act three, and typically a callback or a, kind of a lead to a sequel, that kind of a thing. So each of those three acts have a certain structure that you go through. So, it's the hero's journey, but I really saw it come together. And then you parse it down into these tiny segments, which are the scenes. And, think about a huge Hollywood set. They built a four-story casino, for Oceans 11, 12, 13. That's where I was. It was phenomenal. I mean, they were in the same soundstage that they did the Titanic. I mean, it's that big that they filled with water. I mean, just like incredible. So each of the scenes have to push the story forward. If it doesn't, that scene gets cut out. It can be great in the script, but if it doesn't play in when you're going through editing, pull it out. Every scene has to push forward, which also leads to, back in our world, every time you tell a story, every time you're telling a story, brand perspective from top of funnel to bottom, if it's not leading people to the next step, cut it out or change it.
Cut it out.
Right. So, I really saw that, not just in the movies, but in the marketing campaigns as well, from the teaser trailer to the to the movie posters, to what you see when you walk into the theater or what you're seeing on Netflix, et cetera. So that was amazing. And then there's another thing that I took away that I think is just interesting. And I'll just say this. There are certain people when they walk in the room, I think they literally shine. And I have seen it. And it was because Angelina Jolie has this, and George Clooney has this, and Brad Pitt has this, where we're standing around talking, and we know the person, there's going to be a question and answer session, that kind of thing with the cast and the director, and you just sort of feel a ripple, like something's happening, like, yeah, exactly, like the door opened and the wind is coming in, like what's happening, and you turn it like, oh my God, oh, I understand. Like Angelina Jolie looks like a magnification of Angelina Jolie. Like she's this statuesque, super tall, cheekbones out to here. Like, oh, okay, I get it. These people, like they glow, So there's a different kind of a thing that either was in them, and then being on stage and practicing acting, doing so many movies and that kind of thing. That it comes out and they embrace it. So that was just an interesting thing. It's not saying that, everybody has to work on their glow, that kind of thing. But it was just an interesting thing that I saw with different in front of camera people, where a lot of times the director and the producers, they're just behind the scenes. They're there for a reason. We're going to tell this big story, and they're there to do their amazing part and bring out new things that we didn't even see in the script and that kind of thing. Am I going down a weird path, or is this okay?
No, 1,000%. And I'm curious, obviously you've worked with everybody from, Fortune 500 companies to small 1-person, 4-person startups. So kind of runs the gamut in terms of storytelling and where those people are in their journeys. And I'm curious, obviously it's hard to have like a one size fits all for sure, because everybody's story is different, everybody's path is different. But I like this question from Stanley, is there a sort of universal rule that you adhere to, or maybe a universal rule that you see or guide people on when it comes to storytelling, how much you are talking versus how much you are listening, especially when it comes to sales? I feel like there's always that age old, like, what is it? You have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. You listen more than you speak, but you've kind of been in the trenches. So I'm curious what you've seen.
Absolutely. So it's that is exactly right. It's 2 to 1, and you should be listening more. So it comes back to, I would suggest, and again, I've, the kind of the website Story to Sales, and I've the classes on LinkedIn that walk people through a lot of this that I truly recommend. And, tens of thousands of people have seen them and seem to like them too. But what I'm going to back up from that is asking the right questions in the discovery and engaging with true empathy, real empathy. Like that, I work with people in your market, whatever that is, in insurance, because my father was insurance, and I wish I could have helped him in his career, whatever it is, like a real true fact that comes from the heart. can get people to open up. You're not just there to sell something. So start off with opening the door, share some empathy, and then find out what the problems are and there's an amazing book. I mean, it's old now, but I remember reading it. It's called Spin Selling by Neil Rackham. I think it's Rackham, Rackham. And it's spin selling. It's kind of the way most people sell and where they stop. So situation, that's your sort of discovery. What's the situation here? What's the problem? Okay, most people do that, but they don't go into what's the implication, the implication of that problem. Does that mean you're losing money each quarter? What does that mean? What's the effect on the business? How does that affect you and your life? And then the N is the need payoff. So if you can offer a solution to that, how does that affect the business? So there's a great book on that. I took that and about 100 other pieces of training, and I came up with this, which I think will be helpful to Stanley and hopefully others, is those questions have to be topical. They have to be truly not just general. What's your use case? Like I cringe when I hear that question. I want to know that you've done homework for this company, and you can ask them, with other insurance companies, I see that they're experiencing this problem. Do you have the same sort of thing happening here? Tell me more about it. So really do your research and come in. But I suggest a story format to open it up. I call it the epic story. So E is empathy to start off with, like I mentioned. So establish empathy with the other person if possible. P, there's a problem that you went through in life and you want to solve, or you solve for other companies, the impact of that problem. And then the C is the change that they could go through, or C, change call to action. What do you need them to do? Can they fill out this form? Can they go to this spot on the website? So the epic story is sort of my thing. And that's what I try to guide people into. So we discover what makes them special, and then it turn their epic story into something that they're comfortable with in each phase of the customer journey. So top of funnel, right? When you're just calling the person back, they filled out a form on your website. Establish yourself quickly. Don't take 10 minutes. Don't do a slide deck. Just, hey, we work, with folks like you from what I found on your website and would love to help out because, and they run into these problems. Can you tell me the problem that you're experiencing that we might be able to help out with, right? So go through that epic format each stage. And then when you're down, I see it popping up there. So thank you, Jeffrey. So, top of funnel versus middle of funnel, and middle of funnel, meaning the salespeople are talking to folks. This is really heavy discovery and building value. And what I mean by building value is answer the questions, help them out, follow up, give them more value than your competition is going to give. And you have the ability to actually have higher prices. Like, how many people out there think of your favorite brands? If you could just think of favorite brands, maybe even throw them in the chat. Typically it's going to be, Apple. It's going to be Tesla. It's going to be, companies like this, maybe not, but typically they're not the brands people don't usually come in with the dollar store, right? They didn't come in with those kind of brands. It's possible, but typically we value the companies and the brands that value us. We get more information. I can find information in seconds. And that's what you want to be to your customers, add value to them every step of the way. So it's a slightly different story middle, slightly different story bottom of funnel, and then to expand the relationship and have recurring customers and recurring revenue, slightly different story there. But that same epic story can serve you really well.
I love this idea of really having the outline, the epic, because I think for somebody like me, it's much easier to kind of follow along with an acronym or kind of having a strategy to fill out each and every time, because I like having organization and really feeling structured in what I'm working on. But I also can understand a struggle that somebody like Rishi mentioned might have, where they feel like they have so much epic story to tell.
Yeah.
And how do they stay concise? So how do they stay crisp and clear and concise and on topic? Do you have any advice or tips or tactics or ways that you practice with the people that you work with to help keep them and their epic stories, tighter?
That's great. Thank you, Rishi, and thank you, Kim, for bringing that up. So absolutely, one sentence at most per
One
per
sentence.
letter, right? Just one sentence. That's it.
Okay.
Because you have multiple other stories that you'll tell. You can just keep using that epic framework. People don't realize, oh, we're on P. Nobody's thinking that. It's just
Yeah.
this happened. There was a problem, and
Right.
like that's what we want to hear. I mean, again, epic is basically every movie that we've ever watched. It's roughly every commercial that you see. It's every great campaign. We're falling for it all the time. They might use a different formula, but it's epic. They're establishing
Mhm.
empathy with it. So just one sentence per, and it shouldn't be more than 30 or 40 seconds. So you don't want to go into your life story.
Okay.
The life story part is when you're really moving down the relationship level, you can expand, but not all at
Yeah.
once. Little breadcrumb. You're at a cocktail party, or you're at a bar or something like that. Hi, boom. Next, like, tell me more. That's when you can expand. Tell me more. That's when you can expand. Another one, if another formula that I love is that I think will help out. Again, this is very top of funnel. You'll see it on my profile in LinkedIn. You see it in other profiles in LinkedIn. It's kind of a narrowed down version of this. So, which is the empathy starts off, which is problem in the industry, right? Like what we do. Literally have seen companies fail and brands fail because they're confusing customers. If you confuse your prospects and customers, you will lose. And you'll probably lose on price because you just devalued yourself and the cheapest person will win. So we created a company that helps people in marketing tell their stories. So in sales, to tell their stories so they can sell more at a higher value, at a higher dollar amount. So that was jumbled because I just made it up, but that's literally the problem XYZ. We solve X problem for Y market so they get Z result. But don't just start the XYZ, throw that problem in the industry out there first. And that's, I think, what makes that formula much more special. So I saw people losing. Again, this is obviously not prepared, but I
Yeah.
literally seen brands fail because they confuse their customers. So we help them get their story straight so they can show their best and they can sell more at higher dollar amounts. How's
Yeah.
that
You
sound? Game changer?
definitely don't want to confuse people.
Right.
Like the last thing that you want to do. Obviously, you kind of sit in this world all day, every day. It's what your business is, it's what you're speaking on, it's what you're teaching on. And so, as someone who's so intimately familiar with storytelling and sales, I'm curious, and I love this point from Giacomo. Are there any kind of trends you're seeing or anything that you see coming up in the future that you think is going to be valuable for people to know? One of the examples I think in the last 10 years obviously has been the introduction to computers and AI and looking over cover letters, or if you're in Hollywood scripts or
Yeah.
anything where it's not actually human eyeballs anymore, for better or for worse. So I'm just curious from I guess a 10,000 foot view, if what changes or forecasts that you're seeing within the sales or storytelling industry.
Absolutely. So for me, it has been all about embracing and not being scared of and not running from AI.
Yeah.
I truly think that AI truly has the potential to change the world. And I don't know if it's a very positive or it could be a negative, and it could probably be very positive for certain people that are embracing it and learning it and knowing how to use it. And I feel like it could be a major separator. I don't know yet, but it looks like it has the potential because only 12 months, 16 months after release, you have 100 million people, actually, I think up to 1 billion people using it at this point. So in different ways, and it's being infused across products. So my idea is, how do you tell a story so that you and your uniqueness, you as a person, you as a brand, or you as a product manager, how are you going to be unique? And then use the tools to bring that story to life. So it's not like, oh, AI is going to tell my story. It's terrible at that. It's just not good at it yet. It can create certain things that if you feed it the right models, it actually can do a decent job of helping you ideate, come up with ideas and discover. And honestly, from customer demand at our agency, again, we've helped a lot of different size companies, but I wanted to help so many more that are small, that couldn't frankly afford, our regular service. So I created a software, and all of a sudden 10,000, 15,000 people a month are going there, and it's just testing their scripts, listening to the scripts, getting advice. And I've infused AI into it now, and it's still got the same simple name, Script Timer. And it's easy, but I put that out there. Look, I'm just gonna put a script timer out. People have scripts. They can't, do a $10,000 video or a $30,000 this, and let's help them out. And so I just keep putting more and more software in there, and it's really amazing. 25,000 people a month, just organic. I'm not pushing anything to this at this point. The people are using it, and it's processed over 1 million scripts, and now it's giving advice. Really cool. But that's how I feel. It can be really helpful. So embrace AI, embrace the different tools, but know the fundamentals. Don't let AI tell your story. You're going to get a super basic story that could be anybody's. It won't be yours. It'll just be a generic. So
what are some of your favorite AI platforms or plugins or resources to use, or that do you find yourself using a lot?
Yeah, that's a great question. So what's cool about that question is I just got back from LinkedIn Learning, and I delivered a course on my 20 favorite AIs to build a customer journey, how to tell your story across the customer journey, where it used to be literally tens or hundreds of thousands to create videos, to do copy and create websites and landing. And so I just went, and it took so many months. It took so many hours. I mean, hundreds of hours. This was a much bigger project than I expected. But I found what I think are the 20 best. So I can drop a few. I mean, I literally just got back. So
yes, I love that.
So top of funnel, like, let's get that story straight. Truly, I think Script Timer is fantastic because it's been built on speeches and presentations and videos. Like, it's great at that. It's great at script. So what can we do if you're going to deliver a speech or be on social media or in office hours or podcast, that kind of thing? Script Timer is great. Also tells you how long will this take. Okay. From there, you can move on to other things. One would be Alphana, which is real small, but Alphana, Alphana.ai. And this is super cool. So if there's a lot of people that repurpose content. And I have an acronym, right? So call it CORE. So create once, repurpose everywhere. And so what now you can do is, like your podcast, like this, you could repurpose this into, different sound bites, different blogs, email campaigns, that kind of thing. So it takes hours to do that. You would plug this recording in the transcript into Alphana, literally take a link, plug it in, and just start clicking. I'd like emails. I'd like LinkedIn post, Facebook post, Instagram images, and 5 cut downs. Within the next few minutes, it's done. And so you can go and you can alter and change. It's an amazing repurpose tool. And I actually met the founder. So I'm happy, the direction they're taking, it's really, really amazing. So that Script Timer, Alphana. Oh, Reloom. Sorry. You wanted me to keep going or?
Reloom, yeah.
Okay. All right.
With it.
Okay. So Reloom is Relume. And this thing is crazy. So, again, when you would hire an agency like us, or I hire people to build a landing page, website, we're going to put designs together. We're going to go to Figma. We're going to put them together there. Then we're going to transport it over into, Webflow or WordPress or whatever. It does it in about 20 seconds. It's scary. So it's like scary good. So you put in, I have a storytelling company and I help marketers of SaaS companies. And so it'll start doing basically the content, the header and the subtext. Okay. But then it starts designing and giving you choices on the whole sitemap. These are the pages. You ever seen like a sitemap? It's like this crazy thing that somebody it does it in seconds. And then you can isolate a page and then start moving things around. No, I like my hero section to look like this. I want my, I call it the NASCAR section, like all the logos to the companies that you work with, that kind of thing to be this sort of format. And in the course, I actually give my format. Like, here's how you tell a story on a web page. If you weren't sure, and I can share that with your audience if anybody wants it too. But you can just plug that in and it just builds it. And it is so fast and so good. And then you can just Okay, bring it over to Webflow or unzip it into WordPress and it's ready. There used to be a designer, a developer, integration person, how many thousands of dollars, and there it is. And it's, I think, $29 a month or something like that.
Oh my gosh, I love this. Okay, it sounds like this LinkedIn course is going to be jam-packed full of these helpful tools and resources. When is this thing coming out? Obviously not enough.
Thank you. It comes out, I believe, at the end of July. I believe the end of July. If not, it'll be, early August, but they're editing it and doing all that. Like I said, I just left. So probably 6 weeks, 8 weeks. I'll be happy to share it with you. Again, I'm not trying to promote it, but I put so much time into it. And it's not like, this is my software. These are things I found across the earth. So, and then
Absolutely.
Okay. I was going to say, Descript is a really cool one. So if you are a podcaster, Descript is great. It's an editing tool, but there's one piece that I think is really amazing. And I show it in the course where if I'm not great with a teleprompter, which means there would be a piece of glass right here and I could just read and it's great. Some people they have it on the screen. So they're sort of looking over there. Well, it will actually eye correct and bring your eyes in it with AI. So you're looking at the screen, even though you're reading there, like, oh, I take the unique qualities of a brand, blah, blah, blah. It's creepy, but it's really
Oh my gosh, you have like creepy AI eyeballs. That is rather alarming.
That is such a better name, creepy AI eyeballs. I think that would be that could be their subject.
Okay, that one we're gonna all have to like mess with a little bit, but also just know that it's gonna be creepy and just to be aware of that.
Yeah, I've got. There's another one or two more.
Yeah.
Okay, so I looked at how to create AI avatars, a Maury, so that I could be out playing with my daughter or whatever, and Maury is creating videos, and now I've got two that are really good and one I like more than the other. One is Synthesia, but I felt like it's just too robotic. Hey Jen does a better voice with the voice modulation, a little bit of expression because it's you and you can move around a little bit. But it's great. And I think it'd be great if you take the video and you stick it down in the corner and there's sort of a demo going on. I think you could pull it off for that, but full screen, I don't think it's there yet. But in 9 or 12 months, I think it's going to be indistinguishable from a human. So it's really, really interesting. So Hey Jen is with the G, HEYGEN. And that one was.
But that freaked me out a little bit. No?
Yes, it was unsettling.
Yeah.
It was unsettling.
I'm settled.
That's why, again, this is also why I think, what you're doing and helping all these folks, you're building a real brand based on you being here. You're getting different people on the phone each week and talking with them, that kind of thing. You're building a real brand for you, which will stand the test of time because other people might start just using this, and when it starts to really look, how are they going to establish a brand? How are they going to really tell their story? It might be just this, avatar robot going on, but they really haven't built anything yet. So I think it's even more important to start telling your story so people identify with you. Otherwise, I'll talk to a $29 robot and learn things.
Well, and I think the pendulum is at some point, I don't know when, going to start to go the other way, which is it is going to become so indistinguishable online on these screens, whatever, that I think we will ironically have like a full circle moment and actually come back to really valuing people in real life, IRL, as the kids say, because you will be able to know that is a real human, because the robots haven't taken on physical form yet. So that it will really, I think, kind of come full circle. We used to really enjoy getting together in person. And then it turned into like, why would we get together in person when we can Zoom and work from anywhere and work from an Airbnb in Bali, or, we're going to be digital nomads and everything's going to be digital and we're going to show up online. And I think there will be eventually this full circle moment where, because to your point, these robotic versions of us or other people can show up online, there will be this sort of coming back to real life and valuing people and meeting them in a personal, like in-person basis. I don't
Yeah.
know. That's
I
my
think
little
we
theory.
saw that with COVID, right? I mean, it happened before recently. We were all, actually, it was really funny. The first meeting I had with actual people. It's, the person sat down and we were talking. I was like, "Wow, this is the first meeting I've had with real people." They're like, "Wow, it's like Zoom, but in real life." And I thought that was
Yeah.
hilarious. I was like, it's like Zoom, but in real life. So we all do crave actual people, actual connections. And it's why your story matters so much. I don't know if that'll happen. So it'll definitely happen in certain niches. Um, but there's so much
Oh,
unknown. I may have gone
definitely.
down such a rabbit hole. I lost folks, but after doing hundreds of hours of research, I'm like, there's real potential here. It just has to be used the right way.
No, 1,000%. And, I obviously you are a wealth of information with all of these different programs and plugins and, things that we can use to make our lives easier. I'm curious, where do you get all of this? Like, is there a podcast you listen to or a newsletter that you subscribe to or, brands that you follow online that you're getting all of these kind of nuggets of goodness from?
Yeah. Thank you for asking that. So, again, the past few months has been absolute fire hose of information. So I had to start sifting through. And so I did find quite a few that were really useful. And the best ones I think are more I would say the interviews, and they're not pushing hard to sell as a thing, at the end of it. But there's, honestly, one is yours. You just give a great amount of information. You have great guests on, and I'm really proud to be here. So thank you. And this is one. There's another that I found on YouTube, and I believe the name is it's spelled funny, but The Future, like Futur, I believe, something like that. And
Yeah.
he's solid. He's giving some good information. I know there's a gain at the end. He has some things to sell. There is a SaaS, like how to launch SaaS. Again, this has been interesting to me because I have the agency and we help other companies grow, and then more and more interested in like, well, how do I'm getting tens of thousands of people over here to this website. Let me actually grow that into something. So it's I got to remember the name of that, but it's a podcast on SaaS. GTM would be the keyword, sort of GTM SaaS, like go to market strategies. Doesn't talk too much about AI. But more just, the product launch, which is a super interest to me because that's what we do to help, we're in the same spot. We're helping people launch their companies, their products. Where else? I actually do something that's a little bit probably unusual. I got YouTube Premium just to get rid of all the ads, which I make ads. I do those things, but I can get there faster to see if there's quality here. So I search, YouTube is the second largest search engine on earth, right? So after Google, you go in there and you can put in some key terms, AI. And so I gravitate more towards, the truly the industry leaders, Jensen Huang, the CEO and founder of, or co-founder of NVIDIA, right? Who has
Mhm.
skyrocketed, right? And so what's he saying, what he thinks the next trends are, what's happening with their chips and what's it driving, that kind of thing. So I listen there. He's not dropping, company names, but, great amount of information. And then I just use that. And then I just branch off. Okay, he was talking about visual. Let me follow the visual path with AI and pull up more and then go. And I try to find the 8 to 10 minute versions. I can't spend hours, right? Just kind of combing through, but having no interruptions and commercials help out a lot. So,
No, you definitely want to find stuff that you're going to get the knowledge quickly. You don't have hours and hours to spend. So how you can kind of gather that in a quick manner. I want to make sure we get to Alex's question because I know he's asked it a few times. So I want to make sure that we get to it, which is how do you tell a story? Speaking of not having very long and wanting to get to information quickly, everybody has really short attention spans, especially as we're mentioning online platforms. People have the attention span of like a bug. So how can we capture somebody's attention when we are fully aware that they have a very short attention span. Do you have like a go-to hack when it comes to this?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I'm going to do this quick, but I can maybe give some links to you for downloads or
Oh,
put it on my
perfect.
feed or something like that. I've got my rules. I've called them the 10 commandments of great stories. So to answer this question, one of them is KISS, which is keep it short and shareable. Boom. So you have to get there within 7 seconds, because 7 seconds not only used to be the YouTube, click off for the intro ad, but it's also how long our attention spans are. And just note this, a goldfish has an attention span of 9 seconds. So our attention spans in this information economy is shorter than a goldfish. So that's what science says. So yes, you've got to get there fast. And one of the best ways to do that is you hear about hook. Oh, what's the hook? How am I going to get people? You have to have something that's going to disrupt their behavior, and to think of it as stop the scroll. Do I have something that's scroll stopping worthy, right? So how are you going to do that? Is it something visual that pops? Is it something that you're going to tell a story? Are you going to put a really, frankly, a controversial statement out? And people are going to say, what is that? Oh, let me read a little bit more. You don't ever put something out that you don't truly believe in, but if you have a point, there's a counterpoint. So stand more firmly with your points. And I'm going to go with a fortunately/unfortunately, this is working in a lot of different places. Quote news stations that we see, it's all about eyeballs and, politics, that kind of thing. It's short headlines. It's the hooks. It's these things. We're not digging too deep into the topics and what's really happening behind there. The hook catches. So you've got to disrupt people, their attention span, to get them to stop that scroll. So little things, like I said, with that, the elevator pitch, which is, problem XYZ, that's a pretty fast way to do it. When you have a little bit more time, 30 seconds, you can get into the epic story format and some other formats too. And I can go through, can I run through my 10 commandments of stories?
Let's do it.
Okay. So first would be, obviously, know your audience. You want to make sure that you own and know the problems of one particular audience, and you can grow from there. Zuckerberg didn't start with 3 billion people on Facebook and WhatsApp and Instagram, etc. One college, upper Northeast. Let's get this market and then grow to another, to another, to another. What do they care about? What do they want? What problem can we solve? Or how can we be more attractive? It's either I'm here to help you thrive, or I'm here to, basically answer the fear. So it's help you thrive or it's fear. So second is, I said, disrupt. Third is sell the whole, not the drill. Forget the features, forget all your product lists. It's what is the result that people get. I'm going to go buy a drill because I want a hole so I can put a window up or whatever it is, or a door. Focus on the experience. How is my particular customer's life better by using this product, this service, working with us, whatever it is. And this one, 5, the stakes have to be high. This is what you see in every film, and I took this away. Oh, every film has that, do or die moment. The lead character looks into the abyss and the abyss stares back, and they're true, right? Like Wonder Woman, was she going to step up? Is she going to help, or is she going to go back to the aisle? No, she's going to fight, right? So what is the moment of truth? So those stakes have to be high. If they're not high to you, they're not going to be high to your customer. It has to be super important to you. So mention KISS, maintain the mystery. This is one of I think it was Rishi asked a question earlier where I have so much to share. Leave those breadcrumbs, leave, 2, 3 sentences and be done, but leave a little bit of an open door so they can say, tell me more. What's next? Like if you get those questions, you're in a great spot. You're telling great stories. What's next? Well, what do we do next year? It's great. I didn't tell them everything and overwhelm them. So maintain some mystery. I think I mentioned earlier about, be the underdog. It's absolutely okay to be the underdog. You don't have to be the overlord, the hero. You don't want to be the hero. The hero, those are your customers. Your customers are the hero. That's the hero. You aren't. And you mentioned keep it relatable. How do we connect on a real level, personal level? Why is this here to help you? So be relatable. Don't be something that's so esoteric and sort of, beyond or so high tech people can't understand it. And then remember last, this is my 10th rule. Conflict is actually interesting to people. It's we've seen this in the past 10 years. We kind of like drama. People like the drama. So feed a little bit of drama. So if you have either a competitor or a market shift or something that's happening in your particular market that you can combat, that's the enemy. Then there's a conflict. It's you versus this. It's, your market versus this, that kind of a thing. And if you establish a market, and again, again, as controversial as the person is, the way this person tells a story and starts off with their brand is always with conflict, and it's Elon Musk. You think he won a lot of people over, including me, with us versus bad environment. Let's create electric cars. Let's get rid of all the fossil fuels that are destroying the environment, that kind of thing. Okay, I'm in, right? And so many more things came, in recent years that people have more conflict about. So, but it keeps them at the top of charts, doesn't it? So conflict is interesting. So those are my 10 rules of commandments. Or 10 commandments of storytelling. Sorry.
I love that. And I feel like it's really helpful. Again, I'm a stickler for outlines. I'm a stickler for acronyms. I think it's so helpful to kind of visualize it, help yourself kind of wrap your head around these concepts. So I think these 10 commandments are really helpful in terms of absorbing all of that goodness. And speaking of absorbing that goodness, we around these parts really love homework. We love homework assignments because we're nerds. So if you could give us a homework assignment for the weekend, it could be to watch something, it could be to download something, it could be to do something, it could be to try something. What homework assignment would you give us that can help us when it comes to storytelling and sales?
I would love thank you for asking. So I'm thinking, right? I think there are two. One is definitely grab the free month for LinkedIn Learning. Again, maybe everybody here is on it, but they offer a free first month. Use it and consume some courses that are in your market. Go to it. There's just a wealth of information out there. And I'm not saying mine or yours or anybody's in particular, but whatever is of interest to you, put that in the headline, search around. I'd love it if you took a course this weekend. Some of them are 17 minutes, some are an hour and a half, but just cruise through. That would be number one. And number two, I would love it if you would go create your elevator pitch. And again, the tool that can help you, again, it's free. So script-timer.com. I built it in there. If you want to if you want to do it for a video, for example, maybe I'll give you a screenshot or something, but in the videos, business video, VSL, video sales letter, click on video sales letter, give it a little bit of info. I'm an insurance agent in, Quebec, Canada, and I do this for boats. I don't know, I insure boats, whatever it is, just give it some basic info and it's going to deliver a video sales letter, which is basically a long elevator pitch. And then you can narrow it down. So you don't have to do all this. It's going to create it, give you a good break. And then you could say, yes, give me shorter, give it a little more information. So it's literally more of a chat where you can learn about yourself and your brand than just saying, here's your script, go run. So, I built it so that it's more of a helpful tool. So, and obviously I'll give everybody a free code or whatever they want that's watching here.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. Well, thank you so much for imparting all of your wisdom and goodness and tips and tricks with us today. We really appreciate it. Where can people keep learning from you, finding you? What social media channel do you spend the most time on?
Thanks. I am always on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn a lot. Happy to be there and happy to be here. So please connect with me. I think we actually did send out some invites, knowing the show is coming up and that kind of thing. So please connect. Please ask questions. Just send me a message or a post and tag me, whatever is best for you. Obviously my email and my main company is Rip Media Group. But I think all that'll be in the notes, and I'm happy to answer questions, happy to help out however I can.
Well, we love that, and we love you. So thank you so much for joining, and thank you everybody who is able to come live. And if you weren't able to come live, and again, you're walking the dog, you're folding the laundry, you're listening to this, we appreciate your time as well, because I know there are 1,000 places that you could be. You have busy lives. You have a lot going on. So it means the world that you took the time to learn make some time for yourself and better your career. So thank you so, so much. And I hope to see you next Wednesday live, same time, same place, 1 p.m. Eastern. If you would like to RSVP for that, you can head over to getcoffeewithkim.com. It will send you a calendar invite. I love calendar invites. I put calendar invites to like call my mom and eat lunch. So I am a stickler for my calendar. And if you are like me, you can head over to getcoffeewithkim.com. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining. And thank you, Maury. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you. Appreciate it. Have a great day.
Bye, guys.